There we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is that you're having today. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Isn't that a great name? Why not, right? Okay, well, so Transformation Tuesday, we are paradigm shifters, and we've been doing this since, 2020. Every Tuesday, we bring phenomenal guests on with different topics for each month. And we've grown and grown and grown. And I like to take the pulse of what's going on out in the world. And it downloaded to me for August this spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Amen.
Amen. You
So
don't even get an amen from me on that one, Judy.
so I wanted, before we get going, I want to read something from this great book.
It's not in print anymore.
Oh, great. I'm going to read from it then. I love it.
Yeah, they stopped publishing. You can still get it on Kindle, but Unity House stopped publishing the hard copy.
Okay, well, so when I was talking to you, well, first of all, I was on a workshop that you did, a master class, and I was totally blown away by your personal story of the nickel and quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And so I wanted to read something out of your book. When I first met you, it was 13 years ago, and this book was coming out.
Yeah.
And when we talked, I opened it up and just a couple days ago, and the chapter on community. I want to read to you what Paradigm Shifters is from your book.
Oh, Judy, how much fun is that?
Oh, I know. Okay, so we're talking about intentional communities, right? And that we develop and use our gifts intentionally in order to contribute to our world. Now, our communities are where we learn to accept love by letting other people love us. So many people have shared with me over the years how they have trouble doing this. They don't like the feeling of being vulnerable before others and are afraid of letting them down. But when they stay engaged with other people, we learn to let their love in and soften our hearts. We begin to trust that we are worth living. Our communities are also where we learn to love. Well,
that was some good stuff.
I know. I know. And when I read that 13 years ago, it didn't mean what it means now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring you in here, and I have your quick bio here. Okay, I know. So one thing I know that Felicia Searcy, you were born a trailblazer and a daredevil.
I
And
am a daredevil. Yes.
yeah, and as your dream took off, your confidence in yourself and ability to teach others kept expanding along with it. So I'm reading this from your bio. My deepest desire ever since I can remember has been to help people wake up to their magnificence and share it in ways that make a real difference as they discover just how loved and cherished by this infinite intelligence they are. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Felicia, and I'm really so blessed to know you. And if nothing else, I want to hear the quarter and nickel story. We are going to talk about your event coming up in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, you can come, Judy.
Oh man, I used to live in Tucson. What a spiritual place. So yeah, I want to upfront tell you that Felicia's got an event, and any masterclass Felicia has, jump on it for sure. So it's all yours, Felicia.
Well, so I probably should have asked you what the format of this was. And so it's not cute. You just want me to talk.
Yeah, I want you to talk and tell stories about how your spiritual life has developed.
Yeah, so great place to start. So like many of us, and Judy, you've known this, and and I know you've had your own experiences along the way, but the environment I grew up in, let's say, was less than optimal. That, both my parents really struggled. They struggled with mental illness. They struggled with addiction. And so it was a remarkably dark and very violent household, doing the best that they could. They were not in touch with the reality of who they were, and it manifested in just high degrees of danger and violence and risk. And so I really learned to keep my head down. I mean, literally read the temperature of the room when you're walking into the room, because there were moments, and not to sound dramatic, but literally when your life depended on it, my life depended on it. And along the way, I developed a concept of this thing called God, that was distant and not available, or like watching for me to mess up. And it reflected my environment, that I just didn't feel safe. And and I can remember wondering if I even wanted to go on. I'll never forget, there was a moment, I graduated from college and I started my teaching career, and I actually went back to the high school where I graduated from, which was in New Iberia, Louisiana, as a speech therapist. And I'm standing in this hallway, massive hallway. It was the biggest school in the state of Louisiana. Massive hallway, watching these kids up and down and just seeing the end of the hallway. And it's like my life just kept going down the hallway. And all I could see was my dismal experience of where I was at that point. And I can remember thinking, my God, is this how I want to go on? And that's when I really seriously began to, wonder if I even wanted to stay on this side of things. And I tell the joke, I grew up in a tradition where, quote, suicide was a cardinal sin, that they buried you on the outside of the cemetery. And so, and this was not the first time I had that thought. And, I just, for whatever the reason, that terrified me of ending up in purgatory and being buried on the wrong side of the fence of the cemetery, so to speak. And it was in that moment, right? And as you're listening to this, that for all of us to identify those moments when there's a crack, there's an opening, there's an availability for something different. No, it wasn't a light bulb moment. It was, and you'll appreciate the term, it was the educational variety, right? That there was an opening where I became receptive to a different way. And this is when I discovered these universal laws. This is when I discovered and began to cultivate an understanding and a relationship with a life force energy that was beyond anything that I had been taught, anything that I had experienced, and that it fundamentally transformed my life. And I began to grab, and I was 22 at the time, and so I'm very grateful, but by the grace of God, I was young. And I grabbed hold of it, and I'm 63 now, so do the math. I grabbed hold of it for everything that I was worth, and I began to apply it, and my life transformed. Now, there's a part B to this, right? And this is the part that you'll understand, Judy, that so I was applying, my life was getting better, and yet it still hit a ceiling. And I reached a point where it was like it was really good. In fact, when I looked at where I came from and where I am now, I had nothing to complain about. And this is the thing that I want people to really understand, that there was still this spark of longing. There was still this element, this edge of discontent, that I wanted more. Outside looking in, my life wanted for nothing, but yet there was still something longing inside of me. And I can remember feeling guilty for having that longing. And I was doing all the things. I mean, I learned about affirmations. I learned about vision boards. I was reading people like Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer. Abraham wasn't around yet. At least I don't think he was. I wanted to build out a bigger work in order to have a bigger impact, and I wanted to grow my wealth to have a bigger impact. So I was doing things like learning how to, build a culture and have a vision and enroll people in that vision. And I just got stuck. And I remember the soul-sucking sense of frustration and disappointment. And, that conversation of, who do I think I am? And should I just hang it up and go do what I know how to do? Or, stop asking for so much. Maybe this is God's way of saying, just be grateful for what you have. And what I realized is that when I really got quiet, that there was still this insidious voice underneath that said, you don't deserve the full good that you want. You can have a level of good, but you can't have all of the good that you long for. And there was something so profound. There was one day in particular, and we were living in Tennessee at the time. My husband and I have been together for 38 years now. There was something so profound that rose up inside of me that said, nope, I've got this desire. There's got to be a way for me to achieve it. And I remember making a decision. I didn't know how to follow through on the decision.
Yeah.
But I just made a decision that I didn't care what it was going to take. I was going to get the spiritual success stuff figured out. And I knew I was tired of piecemealing it, like reading a book here, going to a workshop there, and trying to put it all together and figure it all out myself. And I really made a decision to get very systematic, clear support from an expert. I didn't know who it was, had no idea how it was going to happen, but I do remember the thought process. And it was shortly after that I met, our common mentor. And literally, I was sharing with a mutual friend of ours yesterday. I was in a situation where she was teaching in Mary Morrissey, and it was my first meeting with her, very small group of ministers of us. And there wasn't, we were in a room. She was literally sitting on the hearth of a fireplace. There was no place for me to sit. So I'm literally sitting at her feet. I'm not kidding. I'm literally sitting at her feet. First time I met her. And she just shared. It wasn't a formal teaching. She just shared. And when she shared her story on how, after everything fell apart at LEC, and she showed up 3 years every week for the congregants to process it out and give them permission to be angry with her. That's the thing that spoke to me. I said, now I'm literally sitting at her feet. I got to keep with this woman to learn how to be with the woman who could do that. And that's what
I remember that so well. And I remember also, at the beginning stages when you and I met,
yeah,
I was like totally like out of my element. Like I'm supposed to be in a classroom. I'm here.
Yes.
And then I looked at you, and because we relate, right? It's like I looked at you and said, "What am I doing?" And you turned to me, and you're the first one that ever said that to me. Well, Judy, what would you love?
That's it, right? That's the paint by numbers spiritual success system, right? That we all have information. Every single one of us has amazing, it's all over the place now. Amazing information about the law of attraction, which is actually the law of vibration. Infinite intelligence, just put it out there to the universe, which, I'm going to speak to that here in a second. But when we understand that there really is a system, and I call it my paint by numbers spiritual success system, and that we dedicate our lives to unlocking this power that is moving through us and as us, and realize that we have been given the gift of these laws. We've been given the gift of this imagination to be able to consciously choose images where we are then consciously and intentionally working with these laws, that absolutely we have the power to create a life that we absolutely love, realizing this is our highest contribution to the body of humanity.
So tell me the story about the quarter and the nickel, because I've never heard that story, and I totally cracked up and related there. Because we're talking about money.
So one of the things that I as I come through my spiritual journey, I realized the love-hate relationship that I had with money, that, along with the violence, it was so impressed upon me, in my household, in my religion of origin, poverty was upheld as godliness, that the way to get close to God was through poverty. And that, and there were people in the religious order. Now, I realized that I misunderstood it at the time, but that they literally took a vow of poverty, right? And so as I was thinking about that, and this is the thing that I'm really leaning into and helping people, transform, morph their memories in order to create new memories to allow a greater degree of financial abundance into their life. I was thinking back to those situations that wired in a energetic identity, which the energy then organizes accordingly, right? The only thing this invisible field can do is organize according to our highest view of ourselves, the way that we see ourselves. And so as I've been thinking about, leaning in, and I'm very grateful that I have transformed that relationship with money as, I'm serving and my business has done remarkably well. I was looking at, as I'm helping others with this now, where were those places that seed got planted? this memory of third grade, where I went to a parochial school, and the religious instructor walked into the classroom, and I was sitting in the back of the room. And he walked up to the front of the room, and he began his lesson by holding out his two hands. In one hand, he had a quarter, and in the other hand, he had a nickel. And he asked us, here's a quarter, here's a nickel. Which one would you choose? And then he added the caveats. The devil is offering the quarter. God is offering the nickel. And so I'm back there raising my hand. Call on me. Well, thank God he didn't call on me. I'll never forget. He called on Mary Ann Flood. And she walks up to the front of the room, and she beelines it for the nickel. And that man's response, he literally patted her on the head and said, "Well done, good and faithful daughter." Well, guess where I was going? I was going straight to hell. And when I think about what got wired in terms of God wants less for me, and that if I want more, it's a sin, that I am succumbing to this energy or this entity of the devil, and it makes me fundamentally flawed. And I just remember feeling so like I had this black spot on my soul that day. And no matter what I did, I wasn't going to rub that spot off. And that's the thing that carried through until I discovered a different way and really began to work with understanding that this universal intelligence withholds nothing. It withholds nothing. In fact, I was reading Neville Goddard last night. Creation is finished. It's not a matter of manifestation. We manifest nothing. We create, actually, he says, we create nothing. We come into alignment. And I was thinking, how, Bob Proctor, when he was on this side of things, talked a lot about decisions.
Yes.
And I was thinking about, okay, so what is it what are we making a decision for? Because people talk about, they got a goal, they put it on their calendar, they carry their goal card around, but yet the date passes and they still haven't achieved it. And they said, but I decided for it. It's like, okay, so what is it that we're really deciding for?
Ooh. Okay, everybody pick up your pens. You're ready for a nugget right here. What am I really deciding for? Go.
So if we really believe that we are the organizing principle, right? If we really believe that energy organizes around our highest identity, then what we're deciding for, regardless of what our world is telling us, we're deciding for state. There's a state of being that is congruent, that is associated with our desire. We don't have any control over what people do. We don't have any control over the weather. We do have control over how we are identifying with ourselves, which is a state of being. So in any given moment, I decide for state because I'm deepening my belief in the activity of these laws in my life.
Ooh.
All right, so let me take a breath.
On and on and on and on and on. And the way to stay in state, one of the ways I stay in state, is immersion experiences. And now I'm going to transform about spending a day or 2 days in that state, right? Up leveling your state.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
tell me your experience when you've been delivering the immersion experience. And I know you have one coming up. I wanted to make sure we got that because
Yeah. Thank you,
I could
Judy.
do this 5 minutes a day, and it lasts maybe 10 minutes before the world gets to me.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's the rigor, it's the understanding,
Trigger.
the memorizing of the feelings. So one of the things like you're referring to that I made it a point, especially over since I had that, light bulb moment 13 years ago in Tennessee, was that I have made it a point to put myself in immersion experiences where I could discover and hear from a part of myself that when I am engaged in the routine of life, it's harder to access. But when you step out of your life and step away from life coming at you and really able to hear that life seeking to express in bigger, bolder ways through you and by means of you, you see things that have been there all along, but that you didn't have access to. You come to a level of understanding that is a light bulb moment of transformation. Now, here's the thing. You can't just go to immersion experiences, right? What it does is like it takes the lid off. It strips away the veneer and allows you to see things. And you begin to get a sense of what that state feels like so you can begin to memorize it and come back to it more quickly. It's also why I stay in these structures in order to take those immersion experiences and keep going deeper and unlocking the power of it in order to be able to access what happened there and then keep building on it and have it reflect in my transformation and in the results of my life.
Well, one of the things, I've been to many of your immersion experiences, but I remember the one out in California that was so much fun.
Oh,
To
that's right.
get, and also here in Austin, where you've
Yeah.
done experiences, and I'm sitting in the back going, wow, there's a part of me that goes, wow, Judy, you're friends with a minister.
I do have an REV in front of my name.
And I think I am impressed by the community, your community that you've built, the people that you draw. They are committed, they are
Yeah.
spiritual beings. And yeah, I just wanted to put that out too, is that they
Thank
are a
you.
reflection of you and your passion. So yeah, keep going for a couple another more minutes. I know you have a hard stop here, but I wanted to bring you into what is it that we as a paradigm shifters community can hold for you and your continuation? What would you love? What would you love, Felicia? What would you love to have us hold for you and
Oh,
your unfolding?
thank you, Judy. Yeah, that I just continue to be available for the voice of life force energy to be able to hear what I would love, realizing that that's not my question. That's life's question to me. And that as I answer and I hear, what I'm really hearing is the conversation of the force of love itself. And that's my guidance, that it's not, oh my God, what would I love? And let me do this in order for me to feel better so my life gets better. It really is a flip in terms of, okay, as I work with that question, as any of us work with that question, what would I love? What would we love? What we're really doing is opening up to the force of love itself in order to be an instrument for love. And of course, our lives get better, but you're right next to Louisiana. Like we used to say in Louisiana, the results is lagniappe. It's extra. It's the cherry on top, right? The true gift is discovering more of this, how this life force energy created us, and to know that as we live this life, this is how we're shifting paradigms. This is how we are paradigm shifters.
Yes. Ooh, I love it. So, okay, October. just give us some, just tell us about October. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
getting
back in person. Thrilled.
back in person.
Back in person. So we're in Tucson now, and you're right. Tucson is a magical, magical place. You know, the thing that people think about Sedona, Sedona is great. I mean, you know, it's all in the state of Arizona. But what people don't understand about the desert, we are booked in between the two national saguaro monuments, and there is such magic in the desert, especially with the saguaro cactus, and we're the only place in the world that has them. And there's an energy of deep connection. So with that said, October 5, 6, and 7 here in Tucson, brand new hotel, downtown Tucson, Old Pueblo, you know, the old town, where we're really going to dig in to these spiritual laws, to listen deeply to what's seeking to come alive through you and by means of you. 3 days where I have the honor of getting to pour into you to help you hear what's seeking to emerge through you and by means of you. Help you look at the patterns that have kept you from even hearing it, and that potentially could keep you from really stepping into it, showing you how to do those pattern interrupts, how to listen to that, your own voice of inspired insight, to know what those action steps are, and to be able to raise your ability to allow more good to flow into your life. And as you shared, community, I just pinch myself at who I get to hang out with as they have come into this community. It's a remarkable community of like-minded individuals who are deeply committed to their own growth and transformation. I just kind of a lot of times sit back and watch as they do it. So yeah, it's not a series of speakers. I know there's a lot of summits and conferences out there these days, and they're all great. It's me pouring into you, helping you realize who you are created to be in order to live the life that you deserve and that you're meant to live.
You
So
and your daredevilness.
yeah.
The courage to keep moving, to do this, the rigor. I so
Thank
honor
you,
you,
Judy.
Felicia.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, let's put a blessing, let's put a blessing on you and everything there. And we're gonna what we'd like to do, Felicia, you get ready to receive. All right. Here it comes.
I'm coming. I'm ready.
It's coming. There's 1,600 of us from 56 countries. Here you go. You ready?
Great.
Whoosh.
Ah.
Thank you so much. This has been so, what a gift you are.
Thank you, Judy. Yeah, and if you'd like, I can share with you, I can send it to you, Judy, information. If people want more information, we can put it in the comment section.
Yeah, we'll do that. And then it's what we've just done this. We were just live on Facebook too. I definitely put it out there. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing and have done.
Yeah, you too, Judy. I don't want this to go by without acknowledging the remarkable work that you're doing. And as I shared, you know, what you're doing in terms of helping people find themselves through nature and the courage it took you to really step out and build that business, and more than that, or in addition, that ministry. So I just because I've watched you over the years really lean in and stare down your own paradigms. And so before we leave, I just wanted to really acknowledge you and your courage and your commitment and how you are transforming the world in your remarkable, unique way.
Aw, thank you. I'm going to go out kayaking like now.
Good, good.
Thank you, Felicia. We'll see you. I see you in the desert. Thank you for bringing the desert to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the other places that you go to. But thank you so much. And it's a wrap.